Something happened in the offseason. Mechanically, something happened. So whatever the hell they had her doing in Indiana, I mean this when I say this, get as far away from Indiana as possible. Get as far away from that medical team as possible.
They really need to send her a home. I mean, just tell her, relax at home.
There is no timetable available for Clark's return, and no additional details will be provided at this time.
Caitlin Clark's injury may be far more serious than initially reported. Is the league's biggest star being sidelined for longer than we expected? The Indiana Fever has issued a new update. No timeline for return. No added injuries, they say. But fans aren't buying it. What's really going on with Caitlin Clark? And are we watching the early signs of something much deeper than a groin strain? We begin with the facts, the kind that can't be debated. On July 15th, during a regular season game against the Connecticut Sun, Caitlin Clark sustained an injury to her right groin. It was her third injury this season, following earlier setbacks to her left quad and left groin. This isn't just another tweak. This isn't a simple muscle pull that's handled with a few days of rest. This one has a different tone, a different weight, and it shows in how the Indiana Fever chose to break the news.
Following a July 15th injury to her right groin, Indiana Fever guard Caitlin Clark underwent further medical evaluations this week. The team can confirm that no additional injuries or damage were discovered through the evaluations.
Good news, on the surface. But that's where the optimism ends. Because what followed was a statement that left fans, analysts, and insiders uneasy.
Clark will continue working with the Fever medical team on her recovery and rehabilitation, with the priority on her long-term health and well-being. There is no timetable available for Clark's return, and no additional details will be provided at this time.
No timetable, no details, no indication of progress, no estimated return. Just a vague reassurance that her long-term well-being is the priority, and that alone has set off alarms. Because when teams don't give timelines, it's not because they're protecting privacy, it's because they don't want to be held accountable when the timeline slips.
The star guard underwent medical evaluations earlier this week, blah, blah, blah. Clark's recent right groin injury, which she sustained on July 15th in a game against the Connecticut Sun, is the third different injury that caused her to miss time this season.
That's 3 injuries, 1 season. And despite the statement saying no damage, Clark has already missed 11 of the Fever's 24 games, nearly half the season. That alone paints a different picture. One of a player whose body may be telling a different story than the team is. And that picture only sharpens when you consider her role in this league. She's not just another rookie, she's the draw, the franchise, the ratings, the seats filled in every city the Fever visit. So when the most important player in women's basketball is out with no structural damage, and yet no one can say when or if she'll return this season, it begs the question, what aren't they telling us?
This is an update, a statement directly from the Indiana Fever. Folks, it was only a week ago that Caitlin Clark was listed as questionable. It goes from questionable to out. Thursday, heading into the All-Star break, the three-point contest is Friday night. Caitlin Clark releases a statement of her own saying she won't be participating in the three-point contest and won't be participating in the All-Star game.
This isn't just an injury anymore. It's a mystery. And while the team says no additional damage was found, the absence of a return date has raised eyebrows. Because behind every vague statement is a truth someone's not ready to say out loud. From YouTube commentary to sports podcasts, voices around the league are starting to echo the same uneasy question. Is Caitlin Clark's injury really what we've been told? Or is there something deeper going on behind the scenes? Because when a superstar is ruled out with no additional damage, and yet she doesn't play, doesn't practice, and disappears from All-Star Weekend entirely, fans start reading between the lines. And what they're reading is concern. Real concern.
They really need to send her a home. I mean, just tell her, relax at home. Don't come to the game. But it's hard to say that because we know the fans want her there and they want autographs and stuff like that.
Even while injured, Clark has been seen courtside, standing, squatting, bouncing off the bench, showing more energy than players actively in the game. It's the competitive fire fans love her for, but it's also the kind of fire that, if left unchecked, burns a body out before it fully heals. And it's not just physical concerns drawing attention. There's a financial storm brewing beneath the surface too. Ticket sales, arena upgrades, national broadcasts, they're all riding on Caitlin Clark's availability, and that's becoming harder to guarantee.
Clark's absence is a blow to the Fever's playoff hopes. At 12-12, Indiana holds a one-game lead over the 9th seed Golden State Valkyries. Chicago moved its game to the United Center, the home of the Bulls. The Chicago and Dallas moved to bigger arenas. Clark missed the first game in both cities due to injury. Both teams still sold out those games, though the ticket prices were negatively affected by the Stars' guards.
The numbers don't lie. The WNBA's ratings spike when Clark plays, and they crash when she doesn't. This isn't just about one player. It's about a league that's suddenly, almost entirely, depending on her presence. And perhaps, that pressure is why Caitlin Clark, not the Fever, is now steering the ship on her own recovery.
Eventually, Caitlin Clark needs to take matters into her own hands, make decisions for herself, and I believe that's what we are seeing with the team that she now has surrounding her, with the difference of medical opinions that she went and sought out. Following a July 15th injury to her right groin, I'm assuming they did a deep dive into her upper leg area, her quads, her hammies, her groin, all that.
When athletes start seeking second and third medical opinions, it's never just routine. It's usually a sign that something isn't sitting right. That trust, somewhere along the line, has started to erode. And maybe that trust isn't just with the team. Maybe it's with the process, with the treatment, or maybe, just maybe, with the whole picture the public is being shown. Because then there are those going even deeper, raising questions not about pain, but about performance.
Something happened in the offseason. Mechanically, something happened. So whatever the hell they had her doing in Indiana, I mean this when I say this, get as far away from Indiana as possible, get as far away from that medical team as possible. When her body's breaking down with no injury, that's a scary thing. She should probably go, I mean this when I say this, go to Iowa and do what she did in the offseason beforehand.
This is no longer just about whether Caitlin Clark can return. It's about whether the system around her, medical, physical, strategic, is equipped to keep her healthy once she does. And when all these voices, from all corners, start circling the same doubt, you start to wonder, are we watching a simple injury or the early unraveling of something much bigger? It's no longer about one injury, it's a pattern. And patterns like this raise serious red flags. Caitlin Clark isn't just battling a sore groin. She's cycling through a relentless wave of physical setbacks. It began with quad tightness in the preseason, something that should have been an early warning. Instead, it was brushed aside for a feel-good moment in a sold-out venue. Then came the actual left quad strain, then a left groin strain, and now, the right groin. Each one followed the other like dominoes. One heals, the next one cracks. That's not coincidence. That's compensation. That's a body out of sync.
This really goes back to the preseason. There's no universe where she's playing in a preseason game while dealing with that tightness in her quad. And that would have been an opportunity to sort of get her right, shut her down before the season started.
But they didn't shut her down. They rolled her out. And the result? Injury, recovery, rush, repeat. Now she's not just hurt, she's vulnerable. And the question becomes why? It's a classic athlete spiral. One part gets weak, another overcompensates. And soon, the whole system breaks down. But when that's happening this early in a rookie campaign, we're not just talking about wear and tear. We're talking about a bigger issue. The mechanics, the training, the way her body is being handled.
She's feeling tightness. She's feeling groin pain, and they do scans and there's no strain. She feels pain in her other groin then, and then again, no additional injuries. Which means that something happened in the offseason.
Scans say nothing's torn, but Clark says she can't move. That's not a disconnect between medicine and athlete. That's a failure in rehab. Or worse, a problem in the way her movement is being managed entirely. And if that's true, then this isn't about when Caitlin Clark plays again. It's about whether the people around her are even capable of keeping her on the floor at all. because the longer this pattern goes unchecked, the higher the cost. Not just for the Indiana Fever, not just for Clark, but for the league that's betting its entire future on her staying healthy. The Indiana Fever are holding on to a playoff spot by the thinnest of margins. But without Caitlin Clark, that grip is slipping fast. And with every game she misses, the ripple effect grows louder, across arenas, networks, and the league's bottom line.
Clark's absence is a blow to the Fever's playoff hopes. At 12-12, Indiana holds a one-game lead over the 9th seed Golden State Valkyries. However, the Fever are 4-7 without Caitlin Clark in the lineup.
That's not a fluke. That's the difference between being in the postseason and watching it from home. And the Fever's upcoming schedule? It's brutal. Multiple road games, must-win matchups, and no certainty that their star player will return, let alone be at full strength if she does. Meanwhile, the league is scrambling. Games that were moved to larger arenas to capitalize on the Clark effect are now relying on hope and hype instead of headlines.
Her absence is a tough break for the Chicago Sky and Dallas Wings, both of whom have home games against the Fever coming up that were moved to larger arenas to accommodate fans hoping to catch Clark in action.
Empty seats may not be visible on the broadcast, but the financial impact is very real, and the longer she stays out, the more it compounds. Even if she does return, there's another problem. How much can she handle?
Because, let's be real, Caitlin cannot play. With everything that's gone wrong mechanically, with what's wrong with her mechanically, Caitlin probably cannot play 5-6 games in a row.
That's the math no one wants to do. A body that can't hold up for back-to-back games. A team that might flame out without her. A player torn between fighting to compete and doing what's right for her long-term future. Without Caitlin, the Fever may not see the postseason, and the league risks losing its biggest draw during a critical ratings boom. This isn't about one franchise anymore. It's about the WNBA's momentum, hanging in the balance. And it all depends on one groin, one timeline, and one decision. Will she come back, or will this season slip away?